EIDL program. How does it work and everything. So yes, I want to formally introduce, Joseph Amato. He is the district director at the SBA. And, you guys are very, very lucky because I've been working at least in trying to help people out with the PPP or EIDL loans, for like maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks now. Everybody asks a lot of questions. And then, there's always questions being challenged, like, my CPA said this, my lawyer said this, is this true or not? Well, this is the perfect chance to learn from Joseph Amato, who is the district director at the SBA, because he is the one who's directly talking to the White House and discussing how these plans are being made. So this is the chance to really know who you're going to be paying attention to. And with all credentials, there it is. This is directly from the SBA website. And also, I just pulled up this Washington Post. So some people even question, hey, does that picture look like Joseph Amato? Well, just really quickly, you can take a look at it, and this is Joseph Amato, and you're gonna see him sharing with you how the EIDL program works. Quinn, can you translate that real quick?
Yeah. 那么大家好，我叫于晴。那我这里帮陈平翻译一下，陈平是今天的 MC。陈平刚刚讲到了，就是说，今天就是你们最好的机会，从最好的 resource， 最好的人那里，就是可以学到这个 EIDL 到底是什么样子的计划，对吧？不管你的 CPA 呀，不管你的律师说什么。但是呢，你要听的人应该是从 Joseph 这边听到，因为 Joseph 他是 SBA 的总监，那么他所说的还有他所做的就是白宫里面的指令，然后呢，所以说他是专门跟白宫每天沟通交流的人，对吧？所以说大家今天能加入到这个 Zoom， 会听到最准确的信息。
And I just want to let you guys know, you guys are we're all very fortunate to be associated with, Joseph Amato. And because of him, we got a lot of direct information, a lot of guidance in terms of how to maximize. And thus far, I mean, a lot of people who have been approved with PPP applications, and a lot of people, I mean, we know a decent amount of people who have been receiving money. And today I just heard from Joseph that there are 500 people who have been approved by the bank for other states. So hopefully by Tuesday, you guys will be receiving your money. And when you do, make sure to make announcements in our WeChat group. So that way, it's true. And we could actually get more people to be applying for, these money, right? But today we're not going to be focused on talking about PPP, because today's topic is really emphasis on the EIDL loan, how to maximize it, whether it's a good reason for you to take it, what are the limitations, and what are the usages of it. So right at you, Quinn.
OK， 那今天呢，我们的主要的主题就是 EIDL， 那我们很荣幸就是有这个机会可以直接跟 Joseph 一起帮助很多华人。那还有呢 Joseph 他今天刚刚得到消息，就是说有500个商家，他们其实在其他的地方或者说其他的银行也得到了这个 PPP 的这个贷款，对吧？那如果说你们任何人有收到这笔钱可以互相通知一下，这样子我们可以告诉大家这个好消息，或者说知道他们大概几天会收到这个钱。那我们就是进入今天的主题，关于这个 EIDL 怎么一个回事，对吧？各种用处。
Okay, so let's just bring Joseph and also Shannon. Are you guys are ready? Yep. The mic is yours.
Yes. Okay. Can you also make us a host too, please?
Oh, I thought you already the host.
Oh, I am? Okay, let me see.
I made you the host, and then did you use a different computer?
Do you want to stop cloud recording? No, okay.
Now you're a host now.
Okay, maybe you can share with us later then.
Okay.
Share screen. Okay, do you want to get started?
Yeah,
or?
let's do.
Yep, let's get started.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me okay, Xianping?
All is good.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And I know it's 7:37 on the East Coast, and now here in Las Vegas, we're at 4:37. So we really appreciate you waiting the day to join us. Trying to share with you today information specific to the EIDL program. I know that Xianping, it's been a lot longer than 3-4 weeks, Xianping. It's probably been closer to 6 weeks that we've been working together in trying to get information out to your East Coast community, East Coast business community, and try to help as many people as can across the country in understanding both the EIDL and the PPP programs. The thing I will tell you is that there is information I'm going to share with you that is information as we know it now. It may be information different than the last time we talked to you, and it could be different tomorrow because these are programs that have been very flexible and sort of changing with the times. There are times when we think we have it pretty down flat, you know, what the program is developed as and how it's being implemented. And, you know, the next day we find out that they've made another change. So one of the main reasons why Xianping wanted to have these types of videos is that we keep you up to date with the information as we know it today. And we will update you with information as we get to know it tomorrow if things change. So I want to thank everyone for being on board. Thank you, Shannon, for working with me and getting this not only put together, but also translated into Chinese. And we'll go from there.
首先谢谢大家今天参加我们的这个讲座我们这个会议的目的实际上包括我们这个微信群的目的也都是为了让大家能够有一个渠道能够得到最新的 SBA 的消息SBA 的就是现在的几个项目一个是EIDL loan 还有一个是 PPP 还有一个是 EIDL advance也有很多人在群里面问了很多问题所以说我们都是希望这个能够给大家提供一个很好的路径能够解决大家的一些疑问和困惑因为现在外面毕竟有很多就是不确实的信息然后有很多人都在说一些不同的信息但是这个渠道实际上是我们大家都应该借鉴的因为这个是最官方的并且也是最准确的信息因为我们也会给大家提供随时一些更新我们都会在这个群里面的人都会在第一时间里面能够听到那么同时也谢谢这个陈平还有他的团队然后在这个期间一直配合我们的工作那么我们现在不说废话不多说我们就现在开始吧 Okay, page down All right
Okay, so talking about the EIDL program again, this was established as the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. It was originally meant to provide businesses with operating capital and operations type funding, which in the beginning actually even included payroll because the PPP program didn't exist. The EIDL program was funded primarily in stage one when the first $349 billion went out to pay for PPP funding. There was also an amount of money set aside for EIDL. EIDL has not been reinstated to all businesses since the second round of funding came back. The second round of the 310 billion in PPP funding that was submitted. But right now it's closed to all businesses except agricultural businesses and businesses that were part of the original EIDL application process, whereby you basically inputted a lot of information and probably in the first 2 weeks, you were given a number that's began with number 2 as far as your confirmation number, or you didn't receive any number at all. Only those companies are allowed now to apply for EIDL. All the other businesses right now are on standby. There are no new applications taken. You could try to get on the system and it will kick you out after it reviews your application and finds out you're not an agricultural business or a business that was done prior.
刚开始的时候呢，我先介绍一下这个 EIDL 贷款的背景。刚开始的时候呢，这个 EIDL 贷款当时是为了建立起来，是为了救助企业在这个新冠肺炎的时候 暂停营业，那么受到损失的一些中小企业。那么就是最开始的时候，当 EIDL 开始的时候，它还包括了 PPP。那么它当时还是说是计划是包含了 PPP， 也就是说所有的雇员的paycheck 他们的一部分。但是到后来呢就分离出来了，所以说现在等于是 SBA 的企业救助项目有两个主要的两个，一个是 SBA 的EIDL 是个贷款，另外一个就是 PPP protection。那么 EIDL 呢是由 SBA 直接拨款发给中小企业的，那这个申请呢你就只能直接到 SBA.gov 上面去提交。但是因为自从第二轮的这个 funding 下来了之后呢，EIDL 现在等于其他的大部分的都已经截止了，现在呢只接受农业相关的企业，包括你的小农场主，包括你的那个农民，还有一些农业相关的。那 PPP 呢是另外的一个项目，它呢是由 SBA 监管，但是呢你们的申请要直接通过银行来申请。而且呢你这个申请呢你要直接在银行的网站上面提交申请材料。但是我们今天这个讲座呢主要是讲 EIDL 拿到了之后会怎么用，主要不会说是focus 在 PPP 上面。
No, yeah. So, and with the EIDL loan program, that is a direct SBA program for small businesses. And specifically, when the EIDL program first began, in its first round, it was up to $2 million available for the businesses. It was then reduced before the end of the first round to $500,000. And when the second round of funding became, the amount of applications were so immense that they basically reduced unofficially the total loan amount to $150,000. So the largest EIDL loan right now unofficially is $150,000 per business. So that's something to be aware of.
就是我们现在的就是关于EIDL 贷款，现在最大款项就是15万美元，也就是说中小企业最多能够得到150,000，right？也就是中小企业最多能够得到15万美元。现在呢，这是第二轮 SBA EIDL 贷款的新的规定，这个可能大家要注意一下。
Okay, so who can apply for an EIDL loan? Originally, it was any small business with less than 500 employees, sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed persons, any nonprofit organization, or corporations itself. And now currently the only businesses that can apply for PPP directly is agricultural businesses. So at this point, as I said, except for agricultural business, EIDL is closed for all other participants. But for those who did apply from the earliest stages until the second round of funding, you are going to either be eligible for the EIDL Advance program plus EIDL, or just the EIDL program. In fact, today I spoke with several people in our large WeChat group that asked about, they were approved for an EIDL loan but never received the advance. It's depending on how you submitted your application and what pool it falls into, or whether or not there's an advance granted to you, or a grant and an EIDL loan. If you receive an advance, that means you're still in the queue for EIDL loan. If you receive an EIDL loan but not an advance, you're not going to be receiving the advance, you're just going to be receiving the EIDL loan.
这个大概就是我们两部分，它的意思是一个就是我们大概过一下它的背景。当然，现在大部分的人像之前这两个比如说像500名员工以下的小企业、独资公司，像这些现在都已经申请不了了。包括呢，像这个自由职业人 （independent contractor）， 像这些现在都已经关闭了。唯一现在能够申请EIDL loan 的就是小型的农业企业。农业企业的话，不超过500名员工的农业企业，包括农民、庄园主，这也是 SBA 历史以来第一次能把他们的这个贷款发给各种各样农业企业的。那么，今天我们在这个微信群里面也接到了很多人，说是他们最近刚刚已经收到了那个 EIDL loan， 但是没有收到 EIDL 的优先款。那么，现在就是澄清一下。如果是说你先收到了 EIDL 的预先款的话，那么你可能还是会被考虑，或者是还是你的那个本身的 EIDL loan 可能还是会被批准，现在只是在审核过程中。但是呢，如果你已经收到了主要的这个 EIDL 的 贷款数额，就是主要贷款数额的话，那么估计你就收不到这个 EIDL 的优先款了，因为你的 EIDL loan 已经下来了。
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about the EIDL advance because there's been a lot of questions about it and basically trying to make heads or tails of the changes that have happened to EIDL advance since it was originated. The EIDL advance is up to $10,000 and it's applied for directly when you initially applied for your EIDL loan. If you're an agricultural business, you can still apply for an EIDL advance as well. But if you're not, which most of you aren't from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, you basically would be applying when you applied for your EIDL loan and asked whether or not you wanted a $10,000 advance. And at that point, you said yes or no. If you received a $10,000 advance, it was usually based on the number of employees that you had on your application. If you had up to 10 employees, you would receive $10,000. If you had some increment less than 10 employees, it would be less. You want to go ahead?
那就是说，这个就是现在关于农业相关的，如果是你还要申请 EIDL 的话，那么你申请这个 EIDL 优先款，这个实际上它并不是说你只要申请优先款的话，你就能得到$100，这个是根据你自己企业的人头来核算的，最多我们就是说是一个，比如你要是有1个员工的话，你可能就会得到$1000的优先款，然后呢，但是最多你超不过$10,000，所以说我们是按照就是最多的员工数是10个人，也就是说你最多的优先款只能得到$10,000。
Okay, so this gets real important because these are several changes that happen. When you receive your EIDL advance, it basically is a forgivable grant that does not have to be repaid. It used to be it didn't have to be repaid if your EIDL loan was denied. But now the advance itself, up to the $10,000, is forgivable, whether you're denied or you get your financing. But that has changed a couple of things. Now, if you get your EIDL advance and you also get PPP funding, they're going to deduct your EIDL advance from your whatever PPP funding award that you received. The reason being is because they do not want to duplicate grants. They don't want to give you an EIDL grant of $10,000, up to $10,000, and then say you get PPP funding for $100,000, you'll actually receive $90,000 in PPP funding because they're going to treat the EIDL advance as a grant associated with PPP. Go ahead.
因为根据当时这个资助项目的本意，也就是说 EIDL 预先付款，这个呢是属于一种赠与金。那么你的 PPP 呢，它也是一种赠与项目，尤其是如果是你按照它 PPP 规定的要求来做到的话，75%付给你的员工工资，25%用于 utility， 那么这2个等于都是属于赠与金。所以说呢，现在最新的规定就是说，如果你 EIDL 的优先付款也收到了，那么你的 PPP 也收到了，那你的 EIDL 的优先付款也会被作为 PPP 的一部分，等于会从中来刨除。因为按照这个资助的本身的这个项目来说的话，你这个企业呢不能够同时拥有2个资助金，所以说呢，你的 EIDL 就会被 wrapped up into the PPP， 然后也就是说作为 PPP 的一部分。
Okay, so we again remember that the EIDL advance is now a forgivable grant. If you receive the EIDL advance plus your EIDL loan, it is basically going to be treated as two separate fundings. EIDL advance can be wrapped into your PPP funding, and you can also choose not to wrap it in your PPP funding. It really depends on your lender. But again, EIDL advance is now a grant. It's forgivable. And if the lender chooses, they can wrap it into your PPP funding. There are some lenders that have decided not to do that, but most of the lenders that we deal with are basically deducting it from your PPP funding.
Are you talking about EIDL advance or
EIDL advance, the advance portion.
Okay.
The EIDL itself, the EIDL loan, most of the time you're using it for things other than payroll, which we'll talk about next. But not to be confusing, the EIDL loan itself does not have to be wrapped into PPP. The EIDL advance, based on new legislation and some changes in the rules, does.
现在最新的规定是说，你的 EIDL 优先付款，当然这个最后还是要取决于你的 银行就是 PPP 的银行的贷款是哪个银行，大部分的银行都允许你把这个 EIDL 的优先付款，然后放在你的 PPP 里面，但是有些银行可能不会，这个取决，这个还是要到你自己本身的银行去咨询。另外一个呢是如果是你本身也收到了这个 EIDL 的贷款，那么你也可以选择把这个 EIDL 放在 PPP 里面一部分，或者是不放进去，这个也是个人的不同的信息，不同的给予不同的情况会给予不同的考虑，这个你一定要去跟银行去交流。
Okay. Almost all EIDL loans will be with a repayment up to 30 years. The interest rate is fixed at 3.75% for for-profit businesses and 2.75% for nonprofit businesses. It is a low interest rate, long amortization loan, and the SBA is trying to make the payments as long as possible. There are no payments for the first 12 months. A payment is not due for a year after the applicant receives loan funding. So we'll translate that, and then I have some additional things to say about it.
这个就是 EIDL 本身实际上也分2种，一种就是 EIDL 的优先预付款，另外一种呢是 EIDL 本身。当然你如果是没有就是其他任何问题的话，在你递交这个 EIDL 申请的时候，可能大部分的人已经知道他们已经会选择了 EIDL 的优先付款。另外呢 ，EIDL 优先付款呢是不高于1万美元，刚才已经说过了。具体数量是根据你的员工个头来决定。EIDL 本身的主体是一笔贷款，它的目的就是说是能够让企业主在压力最小的情况下，尽可能还款的时间会尽可能的延长，并且呢利率会是尽可能的低，给企业主最少的压力。那么现在目前为止呢是你的还款年限可以达到30年，利率呢3.75%，你的非营利组织呢是2.75%。最后呢 SBA 呢也会根据你自己本身的个人情况，他们肯定最后会给你根据不同的情况来决定你最后具体的还款的要求和期限。
Okay, so I get a lot of questions from time to time where the first thing people are telling me on the WeChat group is, I got my EIDL loan, I want to give it back. I want to be very certain that I explain this to everyone. These are very uncertain economic times. If you receive an EIDL loan, whether it's $10,000, $50,000, $150,000, be sort of aware that the fact that this is very inexpensive money, even though it's a loan. And for most of your businesses, unless you are in a very strong financial position, the possibility and opportunity of having this cash available to you is very, very important. I am telling people every day on the WeChat group that we're part of is that do not make a hasty decision to basically return your EIDL loan if you are concerned about the fact that you don't really need to borrow, you're afraid about borrowing the money and how it's used. The main reason why we're having today's webinar is so that you realize that having money in your hands right now is more important to you than giving back the loan. You can always prepay the loan. So say you get a $100,000 loan and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to keep it, or I only really need 20,000. It is better for you to keep the loan funds in your bank account. If a year from now things get better and you don't end up using the money, you can always prepay it immediately back with no prepayment penalty, no penalties at all. It's more important for a small business right now to have cash available than it is for you to return the money right now, because you don't have to make payments for a year anyway. So might as well hold on to the money for a year, and at the end of the year, you basically just pay it back if you don't need it. It's more important to have the money in hand.
Joseph 讲的这一点其实很好啊，因为他实际上是作为一个企业主，就是很替我们这个小型企业来着想。他刚才说的意思呢，就是说，我们在群里面也得到了很多问题，大家问说是我现在得到这个EIDL 贷款了，就是我觉得数量不够，或者是说觉得最后还要还利息，我能不能给还回去？实际上作为小企业来说，最好的经营企业的办法是你能够有一定的现金池， 也就是说你能够有这个救助现金，随时在不同的情况下，作为备用。那么就是其实对于这个 EIDL 本身贷款来说的话，你就算是你拿到这个 EIDL 的款项，你放在你的银行里面，作为作为那个就是备用，就是能够临时去应付各种各样的情况的话，不时之需。那么你过了1年之后，你还可以决定，如果你觉得那我不需要这笔贷款了，然后我想还回去，实际上到时候你在过了1年之后，你还可以还回去，你不会有任何的处罚，或者是不会有任何的顾虑。这个实际上是我们现在建议小企业来做的。这个实际对你的企业经营也好，还是对于你自己本身的企业发展来好，都是最好的选择。
So remember, if you do receive an EIDL loan and your first reaction is basically to pay it back, I'm saying it's more important right now that you have cash available. Let it sit in your bank for a year. You don't have any payments for a year. Have that money available just in case you need it, because the last thing you want to do is give it back and then wish 6 months from now you had the money back again. So be very, very concerned about the fact that you're rushing to turn back the money, when in reality, because we don't know what's going to happen economically with this country over the next 12 months, it's better to have that money available. You can always pay back it early.
4个字，现金在手。So in English, it's cash is king. 也就是说，让大家都至少要保持，为了让这个企业运转，至少要保持手里面有一定的现金。当然，除非你是富得流油，你根本就不需要担心你有多少钱，然后或者是根本就不用担心你的企业最后扩张不了，或者是运营不了。那么这个是我们不考虑情况之下。但是如果是你是一个正常的小企业的话，建议你如果得到了 EIDL，建议你先放在你的银行账户里面，然后静心观察1年。到1年之后，如果你想还回去的话，你照样还是可以还回去。这样呢，这时候也不会有任何的处罚或者是惩罚。You're done?
Okay. Okay, so a lot of people are asking about, hold on, let me see. A lot of people are asking about how an EIDL loan is arrived at, how basically you're able to determine how much of an EIDL loan you're going to get. Understand a couple of things. Number one, EIDL loan is basically a loan from the SBA to a business. The EIDL loan should be basically secured at no cost to the applicant. This is basically a application directly with the SBA. The SBA then basically awards it. It has been a very time-consuming process for the SBA. There are people that have been waiting months for their EIDL loans, waiting months for their EIDL advance. Be aware that that is a normal process because of just the volume. So how much, when the SBA makes an offer to you of how much they're going to allow the applicant to borrow, you basically make a determination between 0 to the number they issue you and what the amount you can borrow.
是这样的，现在因为最近因为受到了大量的申请，所以说 SBA 本身可能会以前的时候是说在几周之内，但是呢，最近就是说是有很多企业说他们可能递交申请了之后几个月都得不到通知。Joseph 的意思就是说是请大家不要担心，因为现在毕竟申请的数量很多，但是呢，你如果是递交你的申请的话 ，SBA 一定会处理的。所以说呢，希望大家能够耐心等到他们的申请。另外一个呢，就是说，当你得到这笔贷款的时候，他会给你一个选择，就是说你想不想接受，你可以选择接受，也可以选择不接受。你想选择接受多少，这都是你自己的选择。
Sorry, I'm coughing. Another thing that you want to do is if you've been waiting a while for your EIDL loan, and you're wondering what the status is, I don't know if we put the email in. The email that you need to do, so if you have an inquiry about where is your EIDL loan status, you basically can contact the SBA directly at FOCWCOMMCOVID-19 at sba.gov. You provide them your confirmation number for your EIDL loan and the name of your business and ask for the status of your EIDL loan, and someone from the SBA will get directly back involved with you.
如果是说你到现在为止还没有听到有任何消息，并且呢，你的那个贷款申请文件已经在几周或者是几个月之前都已经递交上去的话，那么你现在可以把你的最后的确认号，发给 FOCWCOMMCOVID-19@sba.gov。发给他们，里面写上你的确认号，还有你的公司的名字，写给他们了以后，告诉他们你想查一下你的进展，申请进展。
So when the SBA gets in touch with you, they make you an offer. At that point, you can accept either all that they offer, part of it, or you can decline it. It's up to you. But as I said earlier, it's very smart right now for business to have as much cash as possible. It might not be against your best wishes to accept the loan, accept the full amount. You can always return it earlier and just have a very minimal interest payment that you have to pay. Remember, there's no payments at all for the EIDL loan for the first 12 months.
还是刚才说的，你如果是最后获得贷款了的话呢，你收到通知之后，你有权利拒绝或者接受全部批准的总额，或者是说总额的一部分。还是刚才我们强调的，当然对于一个企业来说，现在最好还是能够有一定的现金 reserve， 这样子的话，对你的企业运营也是一个很好的帮助。
So we'll talk about PPP for a short time because there should be a differentiation between what you use PPP funds for and what you use EIDL funds for. PPP funds are used to cover employees' payroll, or if you're an independent contractor or a sole proprietor, to cover the payroll of the individual from a standpoint of compensation. It can also be used for occupancy-related costs like mortgage interest rates, rents, leases, and utilities. That is the primary use of PPP. You should do everything in your power to not use PPP funding and EIDL funding in a duplicate manner.
现在就是说是 PPP， 你可以和 EIDL 同时申请。那么现在他的建议就是说是你把 PPP 用来支付员工薪资，然后房租水电 EIDL 呢，你就可以支付其他的企业的相关的费用。当然最好的就是说是你 PPP 和 EIDL 之中不要重叠使用，也就是说如果你用 PPP 来付你的房租水电的话，那么你的 EIDL 就一定不要用它来支付房租水电，这样子的话对你也是个人的最好。
The EIDL loan, we just talked about what the PPP loan would be used for, the PPP funding, because hopefully it's forgiven. The EIDL loan should be used to pay for other expenses that the business incurs on an operating basis. So if the business has loan payments, the business has lease payments, the business has rents, those can all be paid with EIDL funds. General business operating expenses like marketing, advertising, promotion, all can be used with EIDL funds. Working capital and workforce enhancement like business insurance, employee training, all that can be used with EIDL funds. And as I said, if at the end of the day you have everything covered, but you received an EIDL loan, be smart with that money. Use it as a cash reserve for at least the 12 months after you get the award. That will give you some cash available if you need it. At the end of the 12 months, if you don't need it, just use those funds and pay off the loan, and you don't have an EIDL loan anymore.
EIDL 呢可以用来支付企业相关的费用，包括偿还你的小商业贷款或者是你的营业租赁店铺租金、基本的运营收入运营支出，不好意思，基本的运营支出，然后你的营销推广，还有广告推销的费用，关于你的企业就维持你企业发展的，比如说像类似于商业保险员工培训员工再教育之类的。另外一个就是我们一再强调的，有一个现金池，建议每个企业都会有一个现金池。如果你等到12个月之后，你觉得你不需要这笔现金，你不需要这笔贷款，你总是可以还回去。等于你之后你就再也没有这个 EIDL loan。
Okay. Okay, so if your idle loan for whatever reason was used to cover payroll costs early in the process, your Paycheck Protection Program funding must be used to refinance the idle loan. The Paycheck Protection Program maximum loan amount is $10 million and it's got a 6-month deferment with a 1% interest rate. But what you need to understand is that if you used your idle loan for payroll costs and you tell the bank that you did that, then they're going to ask you to refinance the idle loan within PPP. If you do not tell your lender that you used your idle loan for payroll costs, then you will not be required to put your Paycheck Protection Program and add the idle loan to it. For most businesses, they did not use it for payroll costs, or they, for one reason or another, will not share with the bank they use it for payroll costs, because the idle loan basically has a 30-year payback and it's a lower payment. The PPP program has a 2-year payback with a lot higher payment. So sometimes it's not worthwhile adding the two together, but that's the way it should be done. What you do as a business is up to you.
当然你自己的企业经营是由你自己说了算的。但是如果是说你同时得到了 PPP 和 EIDL 的话，然后呢，如果你的银行知道，你把这个经济灾难贷款，也就是 EIDL 用于支付你的员工薪水，那么你就必须要用你的 PPP， 就是银行给你的这个 PPP， 然后来为你的经济伤害灾难贷款，也就是 EIDL 进行再融资。那么 PPP 本身的偿还的这个 term 是没有这个 EIDL 要优越。PPP 最高的贷款呢是1000万，你只可以延期6个月 ，EIDL 呢是可以12个月，固定利率是1%，而且期限是2年。当然，那个 EIDL 的话是30年，所以说 PPP 的还款要就是肯定它的 term 是更苛刻一些。
Also, if anyone receives or did an EIDL application and for some reason thought they were getting it approved and then received a decline letter, make sure that you understand why you were declined. It usually will say in the letter a reason why you're declined. A lot of it is because you haven't verified information. Sometimes it's because they're saying you're not a eligible business. Sometimes they're saying it's credit. If you do run into a situation where your EIDL loan is denied, you basically can reach out to the SBA directly at pdcrecons@sba.gov. When you do so, give your confirmation number, give the date that you received the decline letter, and the name of your business, and ask specifically why your loan was declined and ask for reconsideration.
如果是你的 EIDL 贷款的申请被拒绝了，那么你可以写电邮给 pdcrecons
No, at
s okay
CONS
what is it
at SBA.gov.
OK 不好意思啊 pdcrecons@sba.gov 给他们发你的确认号，还有你的公司的名字，然后问他们为什么被拒绝的原因，并且呢要求他们重新考虑。Do you know what is the possibility? What is the possibility of them reconsidering and regrant? What is about?
When we are helping people that did decline, usually it's for lack of verification of information. We basically make sure that the SBA representative and the business, that they supply each other the necessary information for reconsideration. Credit is very hard to get over unless there's a specific reason why credit may be low for this point in time. Again, we urge the business to basically ask the SBA for reconsideration via this email.
如果是说，比如说他说，以前帮助过的一些，或者收到一些重新申请，或者是说 appeal 的电邮的时候，他们会确认 SBA 官方和小企业直接取得联系，或者是向他们索取他们需要的一些证明文件，然后重新会被考虑。那么现在在这个情况下呢，如果是说你被拒绝了，还是强烈建议强烈鼓励各种小企业去写信给 SBA 官方，因为你如果不问的话，你肯定什么都得不到；如果问的话，至少还有一线希望。
Okay, and anyone who, by any chance, if you have a disaster loan already from a hurricane or something that may happen on the East Coast or down in the Gulf, you are eligible to receive EIDL money. So it is different pools of money. So don't be, if somebody did have an EIDL loan, or an emergency loan or disaster loan previously, they can still get another disaster loan now. Again, you can't reapply at this point, or you can't apply for an EIDL loan unless you're an agricultural business.
现在就是说，如果你以前已经有过 SBA 灾难贷款，比如说因为风暴啊，或者是因为那个灾难啊，其他的一些各种各样的自然的 disaster， 那么你现在还是照样可以申请你的新冠的救助款，或者是如果你现在已经有这个新冠救助款的话，那么你如果是现在又碰到了一个狂风暴雨，或者是说一些其他的自然灾害的话，你照样它也不影响你申请现在其他新的自然灾害的贷款。这两个不冲突，但是一定要记住，现在新冠肺炎的这个 EIDL 的灾难贷款，现在只对农业方面来展开。Oh.
Okay, and that's basically that's an overview of what we've done so far about the EIDL program in general. Chengping, if you want to get us some questions that you've seen.
Here, there's some questions here already.
Yeah, there's actually a few questions that's already in the chat group. So do you want me to read them, or I think Shannon could just do it, right, Shannon?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Can I use? Okay, well, let's go up to the top. All right. Oh,
I got it.
I can't. The company received EIDL advance in early May and also PPP. Is the EIDL advance grant or has to be deducted from PPP? We already answered that.
Yeah, I mean, if you received an EIDL advance after you receive your PPP, it does not have to be rolled into. A lot of people got their PPPs way before they got their EIDL grant advance or EIDL loan. You do not have to add it to PPP if that is the case. Glenda decided, if a lender decided not to put the EIDL advance into PPP, is the EIDL advance still a grant? Yes, it is. It's still, the EIDL advance is now a grant, and it will not be levied in any type of loan situation against the business.
这个人问说是，如果你收到了 EIDL advance， 但是呢，你决定不申请 PPP， 那么你这个EIDL advance 是不是还是一个赠与金？是的，回答是的，这是还是一笔赠与金，你不用还。
In this situation, somebody got an EIDL advance of $7,000. They must mean they have 7 employees. They only receive PPP of $4,100. Does that mean we add the $7,000 to $4,100? No, they're going to just be kept as 2 separate loans. When the PPP is that much smaller than an EIDL advance, it won't be deducted from the PPP. Obviously, you're going to keep the 2 independently. If a company changed ownership or company structure to sell their business after the EIDL is approved, if you are going to change your company after you receive the EIDL is approved, I would basically rule against it at this point. There's no reason to change ownership. If you receive government money, there are restrictions in the EIDL loan program that keep you from doing certain things. If you have a situation like that, I suggest you call the SBA directly, or sorry, email the SBA directly at the FOCWCOMMCOVID-19 and tell them what you're planning to do. Okay.
是如果一个公司问，就是如果一个公司在收到这个贷款了之后，把他的公司的经营的公司的 structure 还有公司的拥有人都给改了，那么他问这个 EIDL 还会不会被批准？现在建议就是说是你最好不要因为拿到了这个贷款之后，然后来对你的公司有任何的更改，因为这个规矩还是会随时变化的。所以说呢，就是如果是说你有更改的话，除非你一定要有更改，这个还是要受到制约的。如果是说你 so yeah, we'll already answer that.
Okay. So the next question is a really good one I hadn't seen yet, and I just figured it out while Shannon was translating. So if a business receives an EIDL advance of $10,000 and they receive a PPP award of $100,000, they will basically deduct that $10,000 from the PPP amount which basically will be $90,000. The question was, does the 75% reflect the advanced loan included with the PPP forgiveness? No, it doesn't. Your PPP forgiveness will then be based on the $90,000 number or the lesser of the two at 75%. So it is that was a great question, whoever asked that, Kevin. I'll make sure that I bring that back to Washington because I don't think anybody thought about it. For anyone that's got a PPP that have heard about the 11-page PPP forgiveness application, please do not use that or start using that to try to figure out how do you apply for forgiveness. That document is in transition right now and will be changed. So I don't want you to waste a lot of time working on something that's not going to be the same.
现在是这样的，有一个人问呢，说是他如果是收到了EIDL 的预付款1万美元，然后呢，现在他又收到了 PPP 的10万美元，那么他问，那最后这个如果是能够被豁免的这一部分，比如说你75%的用于付于员工薪资的，能够被豁免的是根据在你的9万美元之上呢，还是根据你获得的 PPP 总额10万美元之上？这是一个很好的问题。现在就是说，目前为止的规定是说，那么你这个75%是建立在这个9万美元之上的。然后现在另外还有一些人他们在试图填写关于怎么样能够被豁免的这个文件。我们的建议呢是，他们现在白宫那边现在正在修改这个本身的法律，所以说呢，建议大家现在想去提交你的豁免文件的话，暂时先不要行动。今天是5月23号，2020年，在5月23号2020年的时候，在我们这一天之前，就是最好目前为止还是不要去采取任何行动，还是先静观其变。
David, you also gave me a really good question that I hear a lot. What is the acceptable way to show PPP money has been used for payroll? You said salary. If you're a business of one, if you're an owner, independent contractor, sole proprietor. What I suggest you do is just keep a documented log, especially if it's all coming from one account, where you're showing that you're making either 8 equal payments, 4 biweekly payments, or 2 monthly payments, but just to show that the money is leaving your account in some kind of schedule or log. You can use Excel, you can use QuickBooks, you can use anything, just to basically present to your lender, here I've got $100,000. Well, actually your top would be $20,832. And this is how I segregated it, or this is how I documented it over 8 weeks, over 8 payments over 8 weeks, 4 payments over 8 weeks, or 2 payments over 8 weeks, and just have it documented.
能够就是说，银行根据你的银行会根据你的付款记录，或者是说你的银行的记录，然后来决定，最后你是不是把这个 PPP 的这一部分的，这个奖金，然后正确的使用了。建议比如说你要能够有一个 log， 或者是一个你如果用 QuickBook 作为你的支出啊，或者是说付员工的记录，建议你一定要有一个书面的证明。然后来告诉他们你把这个钱用来什么了，你的收入是有多少，这样的话银行可以来核实。
So the next question is pretty good from Joe. If you basically keep the EIDL money for the year, don't have to make any payments, and you pay it back after the year because you decide, you know, the economy is good, the business come back, you don't need the money, will you have to pay the interest for that first year? Absolutely. The interest accrues during that first year. When you settle it out, there's no prepayment penalty, but you will owe the interest. That's 3.75% fixed over 30 years. So the payment will be very, very small, but it's the cost of holding on to that money just in case you needed it.
刚才有人问说是如果是他们本身就是第1年的时候需不需要还 interest？ 答案是需要还 interest， 但是就是也就是利息。但是这一利息的话，也就是3.75%，所以对于你来说的话是很小的一部分的支出。
Okay, this question comes up a lot about unemployment insurance. If you collect PPP money, if you're on unemployment insurance, number one, waiting for your PPP money or EIDL money, okay, remember an EIDL's a loan, so EIDL doesn't affect your unemployment insurance. PPP in the initial stages is a loan that could be forgiven. The only thing I will tell people is that if you're on unemployment insurance and you receive PPP funding and you're going to pay yourself from it, you should disclose that to your employment insurance office and they will make an adjustment to your unemployment. If you are basically an owner and you get PPP funding and that money basically does not go to you personally, then basically you just collect it as a loan as a business owner, and you do not have to inform unemployment insurance because you're not making any money directly. The PPP money is going directly toward paying for the employees, just like your EIDL loan is a loan, and you don't have to tell unemployment insurance about that either. Scroll down. There was one up here I wanted to see.
No, there was.
Yes, there was.
There was the top. This is
There
the
was
top.
something I wanted to see.
That was the bottom.
Here, this is what I wanted. Okay, this is another question that comes up a lot. Can I use EIDL money to pay for a mortgage? If it's a business mortgage, yes. You cannot use EIDL money to pay for yourself, especially if you have PPP money. If you have EIDL money, it can't be used to pay any personal expenses whatsoever. You just can't. It's all business. If you get PPP money that pays you personally, you can pay yourself that PPP money and then pay all the personal expenses you want. But you can't use EIDL money for personal expenses.
EIDL 贷款就是能不能用来付租金？你可以用你付你的就商业租金，但是如果是你个人住房产生的租金的话，那是或者是说你的个人的 mortgage 的话，那是不行的。当然，如果是说你是申请到 PPP 了，然后你用 PPP 付给你自己工资的话，那么你自己想怎么用你自己的工资的话，那没有人管。但是你不能直接用你的 EIDL 的贷款，然后来付你个人产生的收入。
Okay, if you decide not to take the EIDL loan, will the EIDL advance cash still be able to hold? I mean, we've answered this question 100 times. The EIDL advance is free money. It's money that you retain. If you do not take the EIDL loan, if you decide for some reason not to take it after you're offered it, it does not affect your EIDL advance. You keep the EIDL advance.
刚才那个 Julie 问说是 EIDL 需要抵押吗 ？So does EIDL needs personal guarantee?
Yes.
这个需要个人保证。
You can keep PPP money and EIDL money in the same bank account. You don't have to have them separate accounts, but just do all you can to document the use of both your EIDL money and your PPP money separately.
但是 EIDL 不需要个人抵押，对吧？不好意思。Can I decide not to take the EIDL loan? Will the EIDL advance cash?
We already answered that.
Okay. Which one?
We're down to here.
All right.
I'm not answering PPP questions. Just look at the
Okay.
13 new ones. They're all in Chinese. So tell me what they're asking.
So someone is asking from this one right here.
Right.
So someone is asking, they're regular entrepreneurs. The first time when they submitted EIDL, it's being declined. Can they reply? We just answered that.
I told you, for those who weren't listening at 5:19, after I said it right before that, if you have been declined, you could reach out to the SBA directly at pdcrecons@sba.gov. Give them your EIDL confirmation number. Give them your reason for decline, it says on the letter they send you, and give them the name of your business and ask them to clarify or to give you reasons for the decline and that you're willing to provide additional information for reconsideration.
And also someone is asking if the EIDL is over 25,000, do they need any collateral?
Yes.
And if they have a restaurant that has 3 shareholders, can this restaurant be the collateral?
No. Well, let's put it this way. The only collateral they're taking right now is personal guarantees and the business assets, because everything else you have to do through the courts, and the courts are closed. So they're not taking real estate as collateral, but they're taking security interest against the business. So if you have a restaurant with 3 partners and you got an EIDL loan, yes, the business assets will be collateral for the loan.
Will that affect him in the future when he buy houses?
No.
Okay.
It shouldn't.
And it's the same thing with his 2 shareholders as well, right?
Yes.
It's not going to affect them.
Yeah, no, it will. It's joint and several. So all participants, all owners will be affected. Okay. I think we have time for one more, Chimping.
I have to translate to this
Okay.
person. 如果是你超过2.5万的话呢，是需要抵押的。那么如果你餐馆有3个股东的话，那么你这个餐馆可以作为一个抵押品。对你 ，Okay, now like next one. So when they're applying for PPP, do they need to tell Amanda that they received the amount they received for idle advance?
If you're dealing with one of the lenders that Chengping and you've been working with directly, if they receive PPP funding, idle funding during the PPP process, you can let Amanda know. In most cases, the bank that Amanda's associated with doesn't care about the idle advance, doesn't care about the idle loan. It's not going to include it. Somebody just asked a question: if they paid down the loan below $25,000, will the lien be released? Obviously, you don't know banking. Once they have a lien or UCC against your business, until the loan is paid down to zero, the lien will be intact. But understand something: UCC filings are just a signature loan. You're basically saying that I agree to pay for the loan. I understand that my business assets are collateralizing, but unless I default on the loan and do something devious, in most cases, the SBA and the bank are not going to take your assets. They're going to try to work with you to get the loan paid off.
这个就是说，他的意思是说 ，SBA 不会为难你。如果是你本身，如果是你 pay down 的话，就是 I'm sorry, I'm lost. Like, okay. That's I don't understand that question.
Okay. As somebody's asking if it's true if the idle advance is gone, no, there's still people getting, at this point, out of the 5.4 million applications, I think almost all, I think 90% of the idle advances are out. It's the idle loans that are dragging a little bit behind, but I think it's 80 or 90% of the idle advances are out. So if you haven't received anything, even though it's been 2 months ago, they have promised us that they're going to catch up on the idle advances very soon with the 20% that are still out there, and possibly you're one of them. And in some cases, you may receive an idle loan and not an advance. So I wouldn't be worried about it. The funding is there to pay for them. It's just taking a little bit more time. And the first payment is 12 months after you sign after you close the loan. There's not a payment on the idle loan for 12 months. We have time for one more.
For one more, 最后一个问题。如果员工拿了我们公司的工资，同时员工也申请，那么到时候银行要不要收回这笔已发的工资钱？ So they're saying that if some employee already taken their paycheck, and then at the same time they also applied for PUA or unemployment benefits.
We're not answering questions like that. It's not. We don't deal with unemployment.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the question is, okay, so say example that because we get to know a lot of people who didn't get approved with a lot of the funding, and say example the PPP loans are like let's say 20K, and then you get maybe like like 5,000 from idle, and then if they don't want the loan, would that be forgiven, or it has to be going wrapped to it has to be part of the PPP?
Chengping, your question makes no sense. Well, I'm not understanding exactly what you're saying.
So pretty much, the question is that, we should separate those two, right? But then, earlier you were saying about how idle and PPP, it's going to be, I'm not exactly sure. Is it discounted?
Okay.
Or?
If you receive an idle advance prior to getting the PPP, the lender is going to make a determination of whether or not you have to add that PPP advance, because it's forgiven now, to your PPP funding, which is also supposed to be forgiven. It's up to the lender whether or not they're going to choose to add the two together. If they don't, it's not the fault of the applicant. And there's what they call safe harbor for both the bank and the applicant if they don't do that. Now, if you receive a PPP loan and don't get your idle advance till after the PPP loan is given or approved, then you don't have to do anything. You just keep your advance. It's going to be forgiven. You keep your PPP. That's going to be forgiven. And then if all of a sudden they follow up a month from now and give them an idle loan, that idle loan will just have to be paid back in 30 years if you take it. Okay? Does that make sense? Did I answer it the right way, Chengping? Or do you still have a question?
If you repeat that, I think I get it better.
All right. Let me do it one more time. if you receive your PPP loan and you receive an idle advance, most lenders are making a determination whether or not they want to add the idle advance or subtract it from the PPP loan. Some lenders are doing it, some lenders aren't. They're both basically interpreting the rule differently. If you get a PPP loan and your idle advance comes after your PPP loan, which is happening with a lot of people, then the two are just different. They're both going to be forgivable. There's not an issue. If you receive then an idle loan or after your PPP, it's just going to be an idle loan that you either take, reduce, and it's going to be paid back in 30 years.
They're saying that PPP already went to the bank account, the company account, and they haven't reopened. So like, 你不用 reopen. So as long as they don't have to reopen, right?
Now there's 1 or 2 banks across the country that decided that after they didn't take the idle advance out of the PPP loan, they went into the individual's bank account and took the money out. That is something we're fighting right now. That is not the way the program's supposed to be. They're not supposed to take money out of a business account without their permission or without front notification. So if that's been done to you, please let Chinping know, and Chinping will let me know if that's happened to you.
现在是现在有一些银行呢，就是说是他们得到了 idle 预付款了之后呢，银行会那个银行的 PPP 的话，他们会把你的这个 idle 预先付款从你的 PPP 的总额里面减回去，然后等于他会从你的账户里面直接减出去，不给你那么多。那么如果你现在本身遇到这种情况的话，你可以直接跟陈平或者是直接跟我们联系，告诉我们这个情况，因为现在他正在代表白宫，然后代表这个 SBA 本身在约束银行不要这么做。
Well, I have a good tip for everybody here, especially for those who applied with Amanda. Just keep the money at the greater lending bank, separate it from the bank that you deposited the money where your idle money is. They don't know, and then just keep them separate.
There's not many banks, and I can't name the banks that have done it. There's one bank on the East Coast. There's one national bank that is taking money out of people's accounts. I would suggest I can talk to Chinping offline about it, and Chinping.
I know one, Chase Bank.
I am not allowed to say anything.
I know you're not allowed, but I let you guys know.
So he's not on the Washington Post again.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that video, by the way. But we have to get off the line now. But I'm hoping, Chinping, do you think it was more helpful in understanding a little bit more? And we're definitely available to answer more questions offline.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely more clear, but at the same time, it's just I mean, I heard it, and just hearing about how the lien against the business, and then how much is, of course, if we don't do anything wrong, I think it's okay. But like, are you saying that? So earlier the question was that if they were to sell a business, and I think 1 year from now, switching or changing ownership is understandable, but no one can guarantee 30 years from now if you're going to change ownership or not.
Well, I will tell you what we're figuring out is that the majority of idle loans will be paid off within 2-3 years. I mean, they're not a great amount of money. Hopefully in 2-3 years, businesses have stabilized. Nobody, these are mortgage type of, these are what you own your home with for 30 years. The only reason why they use the 30-year amortization is because they wanted to keep the payments very low. The majority of people that I talk to that get idle loans are planning to pay it back within a year, 2 years, 3 years. They don't expect to keep it that long. Every loan you take out as a business, you're going to attach assets. There's going to be collateral. There is very few businesses, especially small businesses, that get just signature loans, that get uncollateralized loans. So this is not anything that's any different than any other SBA loan or process, or USDA loan, or just a conventional loan. If you go into your bank and say, hey, I need $100,000 for my business, they're going to tie up your business and your business assets until you pay back the loan. What I'm finding out is that the majority of individuals that are taking idle loans are planning on paying it back within 2-3 years. So it's not going to be a situation that anybody's going to keep idle loan for 30 years. And the other side equation is I deal with it all the time. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've done over 2,000 SBA loans. I have businesses all the time that come to me and say, listen, we want to sell the business, we want to, basically buy a piece of property, we want to sell our building. The SBA and the lender will work with you all the time to make sure that they're not hurting your business while you're trying to do things that are being helpful to your business. So I think it might be a cultural thing too, because my understanding from Shannon is the Chinese community is not really used to borrowing money. So a lot of this stuff scares them. Be aware.
Yeah, we don't like interest.
Be aware that this is a normal process, and take advantage of the fact that you're going to have cash given to you by the federal government at a very cheap rate that you may or may not need, but it's worth the interest payments for a year. It's worth the time that a year from now you can make a decision whether or not you needed that money or not. Because I'm telling you, if it comes up that you need it and you need it now, you're going to be very, very grateful that it's there. So, be smart about it. Do not hesitate to reach out to Chen Ping, to myself, if you want to talk it through. On our WeChat group, I probably talked to at least 3 or 4 dozen people and talked them out of just returning the money.
所以说 Joseph 因为考虑到我们这个很多中国的企业，可能很多人都不懂这个规矩，所以说我们专门建立了一个微信群。这个微信群或者是说陈平的微信群是最适合跟我们直接取得联系，或者是你如果有一些个人的问题，在里面互相交流、互相帮助。我们这个群是非常非常健康的，大家都在里面我们会就是不会就是发一些广告，所以说呢，欢迎大家加入这个微信，或者是说直接和我们取得联系。Joseph 也会在群里面亲自给大家解答各种各样的问题。
Chen Ping, thank you so much for putting this together.
谢谢。
We really appreciate doing a great job.
Thank you for coming. And FYI, for anyone who does plan to return it, the interest is tax deductible.
Yes, remember, yes, the interest is tax deductible. So thanks for bringing that up, Chen Ping.
Okay,
care, guys.
alrighty then. Thank you. And I guess if anyone else have more questions, anything that I could answer or anybody else who we will. But in the meantime, we're just gonna, and then if we have any other questions we don't know, we'll save it for next time. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, so 如果大家